Gentlemen, glad to have you once again on today's edition of Press Hour. Ladies and gentlemen, the democratic wind of change that blew across the world and hit Africa, particularly in the early 90s, sanctioned the death of monolithism and in the political processes on the continent. The officially promoted one way of thinking and behavior was buried, giving way to a new dispensation that has since become another topic of debate. Did it leave us with a legacy of multipartism or pluralism? While some scholars and political pundits hold that the democratic wind of change simply opened a new era of multipartism, and we have close to 400 in Cameroon today, others argue that the new era brought in pluralism, which gives freedom of thought and behavior with unquestionable leverage to challenge public and established authorities. And that takes us to our topic on Press Hour today. Of the close to 12,000 delegates that make up the Electoral College for the March 12th senatorial election, the CPDM has about 10,000. So the question we are seeking answers to on Press Hour today is, with such an established crushing majority by one contesting party, are there any opportunities to have a plural Senate? That is the question we will be trying to answer. And as you are glued, we also are here to make sure that we give you just what you want. And talking about our panel, we have Mr. Nyamgo Lawrence, who is a vice president of the UPC. If you like, we precisely state that he's the third vice president of the Union de Population de Cameroon, the UPC, and we are happy to have you on our set today, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ndifon, to have given me the opportunity to be part of your panel today to sort of clarify your televiewers on the burning issues concerning the next senatorial elections in Cameroon.
Yes, and the elections take place on the 12th of March. In how many regions are you running?
We are running in 5 of the 10 regions of Cameroon.
Okay, we are going to go into the details. We also want to introduce Dr. Fu Jonathan, who is Chargé de Mission of the CPDM. Once again, welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you very much, Kilian. It's my pleasure to be with you today and to share my opinion, my views with the eminent panelists that you have invited here today.
Yes, some people generally do not understand what this title, your role as Chargé de Mission is. What does a Chargé de Mission do for a party?
Well, as Chargé de Mission, I'm like the desk officer at the Central Committee. In 2008, the head of state appointed 16 Chargés de Missions who work at the Secretariat General of the Central Committee. It is part of the structure of the party, because at the level of the Central Committee, you have the Secretary General, you have the Assistant Secretary General, you have secretaries, you have advisors, and then you have Chargés de Missions, who are part of the team that animates activities at the party.
Thank you very much. I asked that question because at one point, even at our level, we are asking ourselves, what is the profile? What is the job description of a Chargé de Mission? And we have one of us, Christian, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Guardian Post newspaper. Christian, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back in the house. It's been a while. Thank God I'm here today, and with the rich panelists you have, I'm sure we would entertain our viewers.
We always do that. That's why we bring
and inform them also.
Yes, we do that all the time. Christian, we are waiting for Mr. Nkemlimo Dennis, who is the National Communication Secretary of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, who should be not far from here. He is going to meet us, and once he comes, we're going to introduce him to you. Before he comes and we start the program, we are going to treat you to the first lot of the program, and that is press review, and it's done for us by the lady on the beat. It is Emanuela Vemne. Emanuela, tell us what the paper said in the week that just ended.
Suppose peace talks between the Cameroon government and Ambazonian leaders becomes that one topic running through most newspaper columns this week. Ambazonian kingpin hails Biya for engaging peace talks in the Guardian Post, a move which receives popular endorsement in the media. With this, the Sun sees hope for peace in the northwest and southwest regions, especially as the separatist leaders are engaged in the peace process in the reporter. Canada then accepts mandates to facilitate the process in the horizon, just when the Chronicle Times celebrates the unprecedented support the talks are receiving. Before Pope Francis weighs in, makes fresh push for peace in municipal updates. With all these, the Post newspaper is confident that Cameroon Ambazonian leaders in agreement gives much needed glimmer of hope. Before Biya is congratulated by our Ambazonian leader for courage to promote peace in the Herald Tribune. But the celebration is short-lived as government distances itself from Canadian mediation offer in the horizon, rejects Canadian mediation in Anglophone crisis in Newswatch, while Cameroon Tribune is clear that government has mandated no external mediation in the crisis, thus dampens hopes of return to peace in the northwest and southwest in the Guardian Post, pushing the Post Weekender to seek answers as to who is afraid of peace talks to end conflict in Anglophone Cameroon. Before Ottawa replies Yaoundé in the horizon, the paper quotes Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs Melanie Joly saying peace process is always messy, but goal is to be patient. The Guardian Post, however, thinks Biya should consider Canadian mediation. Then there is outrage as another journalist is found dead in the horizon. Journalist Martinez Zogo is killed in cold blood in the dawn, and his remains dumped along Soir Road in the Post. In the face of this, the Guardian Post sees the media in danger, and as the press mourns Martinez Zogo in the reporter, pressure mounts on government to prop and punish murderers in Newswatch, and then Communication Minister announces investigation into the murder in Municipal Update. In spite of this, indignation and condemnation reigns in the voice before Mincom offers compassion from government in the Insider. Yet, Lekia traditional rulers reject Martinez Zogo's corpse in the Guardian Post. As race for March 12 senatorial elections continue, the Sun reports that the game of chess is on as parties race against deadline in Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Tribune says investitures are to select a few from the lot. Just when CPDM Northwest and Southwest failed to produce unique lists on municipal updates, the paper further reports that CPDM councillors vow to vote for SDF if. But the Eagle's Eye wants to know who in the CPDM party will represent the people of Donga Mandung at a time traditional rulers told to be barred from senatorial elections and concentrate on House of Chiefs in the voice, especially as Elekam sets stage for 2023 senatorial elections in the horizon. the appointment of officials of the Cash Deposit and Consignment Fund, Prime Minister's call for ministers to ensure strict execution of 2023 projects, and the agony of the population of Bui, Dongamantung and Goketunja as amber ban renders road impassable for 2 months, plus the demise of Minister Gabriel Dodondoke, form stories reported by the press. Let's now end our review with The Horizon, in which the new Northwest Regional Delegate for Secondary Education, Ngwang Roland, has accused teachers of bribing to stay in comfort zones. In a communique, he calls on divisional delegates to send files of absentee teachers to his office before February 10, 2023 for disciplinary sanctions. This comes after a good number of teachers have continuously been absent from classrooms since second term began in the region. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you very much, Manuela. So many things the press fed on in the week that just ended, and we want to join the rest of the press to say that justice should be done to the fallen journalist Martinez Zago, and we think that will happen because the Minister of Communication spokesperson for government has been personally and also officially involved in making sure that the cause of the death is traced and justice will come to meet the culprits, the people who committed such a gruesome act to a Cameroonian. Now, we also had one other event that the newspapers dealt at length on, that is the failed Canadian peace talks, peace process, and I just want us to talk. There's a lot of controversy surrounding that one, and government, the position of government, I must say here at this moment, is that they never mandated anyone to start any peace talks, but we need peace all the same. I'm going to start with you, Lawrence.
Yeah, really, we need peace because it's been long. We have been registering a lot of brothers and sisters who have been killed in the course of this war that is plaguing our country. But I want to think that the approach of the Canadian government was not very, very diplomatic, because for me, I would have been in a very better position to hearing a communique, a final communique that was published, rather than the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Canadian government to take, because I want to believe that the Cameroon government was taken unawares. That is why they reacted the way they reacted, because our president has always been telling the whole world that he is for peace, he is a slave of peace, he wants peace. Okay. But I don't think this this particular moment he will decide to deny peace when
there are efforts to get to peace. Yes, Christian.
Yeah, I think there are two things which I want to run a contrary view on. You first of all talk about the failed Canadian talks. First of all, the talks have not taken place, and then number two, personally, I feel that it is not the government that is against the mediation of Canada. Perhaps, and I believe so, there are some members of government who are against. Remember that before Canada came out, Canada's foreign minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, there are indications that there were discussions between the government of Cameroon and the Canadian government, and we've seen images where at least two members of government were traveled to Canada. But there is a big question as to who is pulling the strings behind, because no matter how you look at it, there are some people who believe that if they allow the talks to go ahead, no matter how journeying and how important it is going to be to help for return to peace in the two Anglophone regions, they just believe that credit will go to somebody, and so they must destroy it. That's my opinion.
We don't think that someone should work against peace. Whoever is ahead to make sure that we put behind us the awesome kind of crisis that we have had now for 6 years. Dr. Fru?
Yes, I think all Cameroonians know the position of government as far as this crisis are concerned, which is that of the head of state, President Paul Biya. Since 2016, the president has been preaching dialogue. In every speech he makes, he talks about dialogue, which means the president is open to dialogue. And he's conscious of the fact that you cannot end a war with a war, you cannot end a crisis with a crisis. If you have to end a war, you must sit on the table to dialogue. But now, every dialogue has preconditions. I think that a dialogue has to be prepared. The both parties have to know what to dialogue on, how to dialogue, where to dialogue. I don't think, I'm not part of it, but I don't think these conditions were met. For me, it's like they want to take the government by ambush, and the government cannot accept that type of position. So if there has to be dialogue, let it be prepared well, so that the parties can come ready to dialogue and know how to dialogue.
Thank you very much. We're going to move into our topic. We just touched that, ladies and gentlemen, because it concerns all of us. What's happening in Northwest and Southwest concerns the whole country. And we know what it means to all of us, wherever we are in the country. Now, our topic for today is Senatorial 2023 and opportunities for pluralism. Knowing that, as we said in our introduction, we have about 12,000 delegates who make up the Electoral College, given that this is an indirect suffrage where you have the municipal councillors, the regional councillors, and then the traditional rulers who are mandated to vote. And we have the whole Electoral College now with the putting in place of the regional councils. So we have about close to 12,000. And the ball has been set rolling. Saturday night at midnight, all files by political parties were submitted at the ELECAM, and of course copies at the Constitutional Council following the procedure that is done for such elections. Now, 12th of March, the ball is rolling when the election will take place. Now, CPDM having crushing majority. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Fru Jonathan. Your party has the councillors, the regional councillors. Well, I can't say you have the chiefs, because the chiefs are supposed to be neutral. But when we do a total of the college, we see that you have the majority. Will there be possibilities for other parties to come? Will you give them any possibilities to come in and take some of the regions from you?
Yes, I think the possibilities are opened to all the political parties. Every political party going in for election wants to win. And we know that the CPDM has a majority among the electorate. We said we have above 12,000. Out of the 12,000, CPDM has more than 10,000. It's true. But what we're going to say is that no election is won in advance. And the current elections are going to be carried out through indirect suffrage. The electorate is known, which means that any political party has access to the electorate and can convince them in one direction or the other. And we've had the experience that even in situations where the CPDM has had a majority, I'm talking of the case of the Northwest today, where the CPDM went in with the majority of the voters in the region, but the SDF ended up winning the elections. So it means that every political party can go in. But I know that most of the political parties that are going in are counting on luck. They know that it's difficult, if not near impossible. But they are counting on luck because this election can be won at various fronts. You can win it in the ballot box through voting, so you can win it at level of the procedure. You know, if you violate the procedure, like at level of ELECAM, we've just deposited our files, ELECAM has to screen through these files. The political party that has not respected the laws will be eliminated. So any political party can be eliminated. And in the past, we equally have an example of a situation where the CPDM was eliminated because they didn't respect the strictly because of little errors. So it means all the political parties have their chances intact. They just need to prepare for these elections.
Knowing that, I stay with you, knowing that you have committed such errors in 2 different elections, in 2013 when we had the first senatorial election and in 2018 when we had the second period of senatorial election. Are you saying that you have not crossed the T's and dotted all the I's, the mistake that you made? If that happened, will there be any opportunity for any other political party to come in, given that it's just when the CPDM list were disqualified in the West at one time, in the Northwest at one time, in the Adamawa, and that was how other political parties came in?
Of course, the CPDM has to learn its lesson. To err is human. It is possible that in mounting the files for the party, an error can come in. But that comes like a lesson to the party. Like most political parties in Cameroon, most of them who were boycotting the election, those who boycotted the council elections and regional elections, are now regretting, because the electorate that we have today are those whom they were supposed to vote, whom they didn't vote. So today the CPDM has learned this lesson, and I want to assure you that this time the party is determined to get all the votes. That's why the party has been working for the past few days since our delegates came back from the field with our list. We've been working very seriously, day and night, under the supervision of the Secretary General, Vice Prime Minister Jean Kwete. He has been personally supervising the work which we are doing up to yesterday when we handed in the list to ensure that no error comes in. We are comfortable with our position as majority party, and we want to maintain that position. We are working hard for it, and we're sure we're going to maintain it.
Yes, that just makes me to come over to Lawrence, Mr. Nyamgo. Lawrence, who is the 3rd Vice President of the UPC party. When you listen to the chargé de mission of the CPDM saying that this time they don't have errors, they have closed every margin of error well at their level, and to your party, the UPC is coming in virtually with, we say, very few or no electoral delegates for electoral college. So what are you coming to do when you listen to him? You want just to throw in the towel at this level?
If it was to throw in the towel, I'm very certain we would not have asked our militants to constitute their files, because to constitute a file, it needs money. So if we were to throw the towel in at this time around, it means that money has been wasted. But we are going in for these elections. And we're going, like I said earlier, in 5 regions. And our files were very well verified when everything was deposited at the Secretary General of our party. Everything we verified and everything was in good shape. We are not going with any fear because of the fact that the CPDM has a crouching majority. They have about 10,000 voters out of the 12,000 possible voters. But we are very certain that the people who are voting, they are Cameroonians, and they want to vote their leaders. And voting for a leader, you must know the morality of that leader. So the leader can come, why not from the UPC? So I mean,
we are talking about the electoral college. These are not popular people from crowds that you can say they are not convinced about their party. We are talking about members, to use this word, members of a political party, not supporters, not followers, members, duly registered and who believe in the in the ideology of their party. You think you just come and win them overnight? That is the question we are asking. Is it possible?
It might not be possible to win them overnight, but we have to do some groundwork. We have to do some groundwork to let them know that the people they are mandating to go and represent them in that house should be people of good morality. I'm not discrediting any candidate, but I want to say that since the people have to choose, and these people were chosen by the general population, they have to choose the right people. It is, going in for such elections, in an election of plurality, you go in to win. But you must also know that it might occur that you don't win. But which does not mean that you should not go in for. Since you are already in the process as a political party, you have to go in for the electorate, for the elections. And even if we do not win at this time, we are already preparing the ground because we have future elections.
In 2025,
in 2025 we have elections that are coming up.
Municipal,
so we should know,
and presidential.
We should have an impact on the terrain at this time around, so as to know, to prepare ourselves better for the elections to come. When you go in for elections, I used to take this thing like a football match or a class exam. At the end of the year, the children are competing. Not all do pass. Not all of them do pass. Some fail. So you should, but when you fail, you don't abandon the course. You continue. You continue fighting. So that is our, in the UPC, that is our aim. We are going in because we know that elections is a way to manifest our democracy, and we must go in because we have opted to be a political party within this context. And as the oldest party in Cameroon, which advocated for the independence of Cameroon, we wanted this freedom. That is freedom to choose our leaders. And these leaders can only be chosen by elections. So we must be prepared any elections.
That is right. I will come back to you. Just time to welcome Mr. Nkemlimo Dennis, who is the National Communication Secretary of the SDF. Hopefully, when we called, you said you had issues with traffic on the way. You're welcome.
Thank you, and good afternoon to fellow panelists and viewers out there. I seriously apologize for coming late.
Yes, on behalf of our televiewers, I take that apology. And I come back to you. You say, no, we are still with him. You say you are running in 5 regions. Which are these 5 regions, and why did you choose to go in these 5 regions as UPC?
Yeah, we are running in 5 regions. Like I said earlier, we are running in Adamawa, the center, the littoral, the northwest, and the west. It's not because the other regions minimized. No. It is, we agreed that we go in for these 5 regions, first of all, so as to prepare the terrain for the others. Meanwhile, for the next elections that are coming in, the other regions are preparing themselves, because when that time comes, the 10 regions will be covered. Yes,
I will not just jump to Dennis, who just came in. I'm going to go to you, Christian, to allow Dennis just to take some air. When you look at these 2 political parties, the CPDM and the UPC that have already spoken, the SDF is coming up very soon. Do you see any possibility of us having, like today we have the SDF in the Senate, officially through the seven senators plus the alternates, 7 alternates. We also have the UPC, not of your own legal faction, which is there now. We had NUDP in the Senate, but some were appointed by the President of the Republic. For now, we are talking about election. When you look at it, do you see any possibility through election, Christian, for there to be different shades of opinion in the Senate?
No, I think, let's be very clear on this. It will need the sympathy, permit me to say that, of the CPDM for any political party to win the senatorial election. My biggest fear is for the SDF, because they had 7, I mean, it was a miracle that they won the last senatorial elections in the Northwest. But like Dr. Fu Jonathan has said, I'm not sure the Northwest CPDM is ready to give them that chance again. And we all know that whether it's the SDF or the UPC, they don't have the councillors to vote.
Christian, the Northwest did not give the SDF. The Northwest did not give the SDF that region in the Senate. It's because the CPDM actually had issues with their list and it was disqualified.
No. The SDF actually beat the CPDM. And
yes.
It was even more because there was a dark horse in the race, the UDC, UDP of Lamambako. I don't know how he convinced some CPDM councillors to vote for his party. That is how the CPDM lost the election in the Northwest.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is
thank you for that.
What I'm saying is this.
Thank you for that. At that time, the difference between the councillors was small. This time, the difference is very, very large, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So
my only hope for the SDF and other political parties, or the only hope from my own perspective, is that the president may be kind enough to appoint, maybe he could decide to appoint from each of the 10 regions one SDF official, so that the SDF can have maybe 10 senators at the Senate. But except that there's going to be a miracle for the SDF to win a region, that would mean that God is their neighbor.
Now, that's a very befitting way of bringing you into the debate. Dennis, National Communication Sector of the SDF. You are counting on a miracle to win the senatorial election. At least some of the regions where you're going in for.
There is no miracle in politics. There isn't. We have to be serious. There is no miracle in politics. Politics is a science with practical results, work done appropriately, and the results of your hard work comes naturally. There is no what they call arbitrary or what they call in French hazard. So I want to agree with Christian. That's extremely dangerous. I mean, very difficult for whatever political party that's going for these senatorial elections to hope for anything. This is a CPDM internal election. It just has the name of a national coloring, because the only region where CPDM can legitimately be challenged, because the majority of voters may not be in their favor, is Adamawa with the UNDP. Any other place? You mentioned of the last election in the Northwest. SDF won because the gap between the CPDM and the SDF was very narrow. And we paid them in the same coin that they had given us in the previous election, where the gap was very narrow in favor of us, but they beat us. Then the next mandate, the gap was narrow in favor of them, and we paid them back in their coin. Yes. But we are talking of...
Yes, you just said that politics is a science.
Yes.
And you are saying that it's an internal organization of the CPD.
Yes, it is. This election is an internal election of the CPD.
Don't you think that
because the CPD are 99% voters.
Yes, don't you think that is because they master the science, they've done the science well, and they are masters of that science, instead of thinking that it's their fair?
I hope it were so. I hope it were so. If it were so, we will not have less than 4 million of over 25 million population choosing leadership in this country. The electorate will have been very, very involved. We will not have in BLM, if I take the statistics of 2020.
Let's talk about the senatorials.
So, what I'm saying is...
You know why I want us to talk about senatorials?
No.
Because if you go by that argument you want to bring up, we will say even if it's 2 million, they vote a party leader. And if they go to one party leader, and your own party leader is there, you cannot bring the argument because they could vote for your party leader.
The problem is,
let us
I agree with you, but disagree with you on 2 counts. I agree with you that the law does not permit that is a certain number of voters do not vote a party for elections, the election is null and void. On that basis, I agree with you. So even if it were one person coming out to vote, the election will still be accepted.
And that one person could vote for the party.
I agree with you.
Not only for the other
for
party.
a leadership, that somebody who says he wants to be remembered for having brought democracy to Cameroon, he should be questioning why there is this terrible disaffection on electoral matters. And the worst and the most dangerous part of it is that...
Are you seeing how you are getting us out of your...
I'm not getting us because the voters...
Can I show you how you are getting you out of
the voters who will vote in these electoral elections were voted by popular vote.
Correct.
So I'm not getting out. They were the popular vote that led them to where it will become an electoral college vote. That said, let me say something. I want to come back to what Christian said. The Social Democratic Front, launched with the blood of 6 innocent Cameroonians, won the presidential election in 1992, did not get all these ambitions and achievements to come and be expecting President Biya to make them appointments. We don't have to get to power through our opponent. Through the gracious nature of our opponent.
Let us. You will continue to talk. Let me just try to describe what you are saying.
It is unfortunate that we have to be begging CBDM to appoint us into elected positions.
Yes.
This is very unfortunate.
This is the question I will ask you.
Yes.
With the way things are, with the electoral college, do you see a possibility of the SDF and others coming in so that they should be elected?
That is a good question.
And the answer you have given me is completely away from that.
The answer I have given you is that there is no miracle in politics, and those who don't have voters counting on their opponents to use to pity them and vote them, they are dreamers. That's what I've given you. That's why I said it's a miracle. We should know that Cameroonians are watching.
I want him to continue to talk.
Expect me?
Yes.
I want you to continue to talk.
I don't know whether you've understood my point.
I'm understanding your point, but that I agree with your point. This is the question I want to ask you.
Good.
In 2013,
yes,
the SDF didn't have the electoral college in the Adamawa.
Yes.
But that is the region that represented them in the Senate.
You are right.
Then how can you say
you are right. The difference is this. The difference is this. I agree with you that the difference is this. A major political party
should not be counting
a
on errors.
Major political stakeholder, power holder in Cameroon, like this mighty Social Democratic Front, should not go for election. Its only capital is to count on the mistake that if we are lucky and they disqualify Alicia, then we win by forfeiture. A serious team does not go to play a match counting on forfeiture that the opponent will not come.
It's a penalty.
No.
It's a penalty. An error committed by the opponent is more of a penalty than forfeiture. Forfeiture means the other one did not come.
Dennis making very pertinent argument.
But I'm afraid.
Excuse me, Christian, but he's contradicting himself.
No, I'm not.
Because yes, you say it's a science. You need to work hard to be able to win elections.
Yes.
And that is exactly what is happening in our country. When you work hard, you will win your elections. And let me clarify you on the question of electorate to say people go to vote freely. They register freely and they vote freely. So if people don't register, in spite of all the campaigns that the government makes towards registration, it's their problem. If they register and they don't go to vote, those who vote will represent them. So the problem with most of the opposition parties is that either they don't register or they register and they boycott elections. And that's why it follows them along. If you had participated in the elections, the election of 2020, to elect the councillors, and if you had participated, you would have had some councils.
Right?
So the question of boycott is what is following up. Excuse me, let me finish. The question of boycott is what has been following up the parties, the opposition parties. And I want to say, in this election, you can win either through the procedure, which can be your luck.
You made that point already.
Yes, I made it. He was not present. He was not present. Excuse me. You are not the one giving the floor. You can win this election even through luck. You understand? And you had your luck in 2013 and you won up to 14 seats in the Senate. So that lock
constituting a group.
Yeah. So what we know, and you say it rightly, that the political parties who are going for this election this time, most of them are counting on lock. Mr. Nyamgo said a while ago that the cost is too much. There are few political parties who can be able to afford 1 million francs
for each
to go in and try their luck.
You know why,
so
right?
It is
because
a question.
The CPDM
Excuse me.
it's difficult to differentiate between the public post and the CPDM the treasury.
No, you are going to. I don't know how you can even defend that. But what we are saying, and which I want to reiterate here, is that if we work hard, and we advise the opposition parties to start preparing for the next Senate from the next elections that are coming, they should work towards winning the council elections, the municipal and regional council, to be able to go in confidently for the next
senatorial. Let us stay with Dennis.
Yes,
after Dennis,
let me react to what my brother Jonathan has said.
Yes, but after that, you also tell us in which regions are you running.
Yes, I agree with. In fact, I was the one who said it, that politics is hard work. And so if you don't work hard, you don't expect a miracle. There is no issue of luck. The luck is very marginal. And if a major political party is counting on luck to win a major election, then there is something seriously wrong. I want to disagree with him when he wants to say that the apathy in electoral participation of Cameroonians is as a result of political parties. The problem is the electoral law, that when we who are out fighting for people to go and register and vote, they tell us that they cannot waste their time on an election that results are known before time. And we cannot keep pretending that there is nothing seriously wrong with the electoral law. The day that we put a veritable electoral commission, which is veritably independent, and make electoral laws that favor transparency and checks and balances in elections, you will see Cameroonians will flood the polls. And I also agree, let me be very fair with him and be very hard on us. I also agree that we should not blame all our electoral failures
on others.
On others. We have problems which are internal in our political parties. We have leadership problems in our political parties. Cameroonians are not deep, they are seeing. We have serious problem of effective conflict management when they arise. Some of our leaders in the opposition are hard-handed, and we have a situation where many people are dropping out. You know, in politics, human resource is the capital of politics. When you have human resource that you have nurtured to a certain level, because of a simple agreement with him, you elbow him out. Disagreement, you elbow him out and try recruiting anew. Every day you are in a cycle of new people, naive, who are coming in, while the experienced ones are dropping away. So we have our own weaknesses, but it doesn't mean that.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, so
when we give you time to make
we
a
have
point,
our own weaknesses,
to make a
but
point,
the blame is on the system, and the system has to see how they can bring people on board. If the CPM, if Mr. Biya, the president, accepted multi-party democracy in Cameroon, he should make everything to make sure that the enabling environment is created for plurality of ideas in the institutions of the country, by making sure that we have transparent election, we have a credible independent electoral commission who is no respecter of any person.
Is that what we are just
so that the population will
what you are talking about all this time, is it part of our discussion?
This is an election.
Prepare this at home,
this is
and then you make sure that each time I ask a question. But we have an angle. Dennis, we have an angle to this election. You cannot get us out completely.
This is an internal election.
We give you the chance because we have invited you to make a point, at least digress a bit, but you should not take us out completely off.
Kilian, can I talk now?
Yes, you will talk, please. Yes. If you have not told us in which regions
the party is running in the northwest because they are incumbents. And I want to tell you that 90% of SDF members all over the country that are saying the election is not their business because they cannot go to the election where they will count on the opponent
that also,
to vote them.
That also, we have already 8-9 political
So there are very
parties.
few people that have accepted that they will go for the elections. You mention it to anybody who says that what the election is an internal election of CPDM because the voters are 99% CPDM voters.
Okay, we have 8-9 political parties that have already submitted their files.
Yes.
It is not just the CPDM, please.
We are talking of voters. We are talking of voters.
Yes.
I think
the kingmakers are CPDM voters.
Just
the kingmakers are CPDM.
I agree with 99% of the things that Mr. Nkemlemo is saying, though you see that as being a digression. He made a very simple point. The regime, the CPDM...
You are also taking us out of...
No,
you will not come and then we have a topic. You come on with your own topic and discuss.
Elections in Cameroon.
I give you 1 minute and it's a time...
allow me to talk now.
Yes, 1 minute because that is not our topic.
Elections are late, is late during the municipal election.
Of course.
And that's where the CPDM put his card on the table. Yes. And they have this majority. You cannot deny that.
And Dr. Fu is saying that you should go and put your cards on that same table when the time comes. That's what he is saying.
No, our electoral code does not permit for that kind of transparent elections.
Okay, that is a different also. Okay. Now,
I don't know why Kilian is escaping. You are escaping from that. I don't know why struggling to dodge that area. You are not a defender. Are you not part of our discussion?
We'll talk about
you are generally on this side. Are you a defender or a system?
When we talk about transparency.
Look at this is our topic. This is our topic. Senatorials 2023. Any opportunities for pluralism? I want you
and
to...
we are explaining why there is no opportunity because there was bias from the beginning.
That they exist. I will tell you that they exist. How will you say plurality doesn't exist in a country where there are more than 400 political parties? How do you explain that? How do you say the elections are not transparent with transparent ballot boxes? You say they're not transparent. How do you say they're not transparent with biometric election registration of voters? People vote freely, then you say they're not transparent. What do if you think that the electoral code
there's someone who has not spoken.
I don't go into other two that you were digressing.
No, he hasn't taken as much time as you. At least we have people who are watching us.
I can explain to you.
We have people. Dennis,
listen, we may not have.
We want to argue.
No, listen.
You will explain that you cannot monopolize.
When you talk, you listen.
No, there's someone here who
is aware that when it comes to election matters in this country, you know, the fact that youth, millions of them who are unemployed and who can decide the future of this country, they say if you are not at a certain age, you cannot vote. And so the old people who are chopping from the regime are the ones who are given the opportunity to register and vote. That's the problem with elections in this country.
Mr. Nyamgo,
why can we not reduce the age to 18?
How many electorate, that is the college, do you have as UPC? And what's your plan?
The electorate we have is basically in the littoral and part of the center. But our plan, like I said earlier, there are elections which have been convened for March 12, 2023. And as a political party, we have to go in for these elections. Irrespective of the fact that we don't have so many
chances.
Yes,
I have worked with the UPC closely with all political parties, I should say. When I speak here, all the leaders of all the political parties, the CPDM, the SDF, the UPC, all of them, they know me because I've worked with them. And I know that the UPC in particular...
What capacity?
As a journalist.
Okay.
As a journalist. Yeah, if I work with all political parties. The UPC, they know how to dig into the law and they could single out some mistakes in the files of others. Are you planning to do that?
Well, we will not count on that, first of all. But then if the occasion is given us, because we will effectively verify to see whether the other people have followed the laws and regulations of the elections. But I want to say something which is very important. Because we should not only count on the fact that the CPDM has an overall majority on the territory. We should also have to encourage our youth to let them understand that if we have to get any change tomorrow, they are the people to decide. We must encourage them to register on the electoral list. If they don't register, who do you want to go and vote then? And who do you want to represent you? If you cannot decide on who to represent you, who do you want effectively to go and represent you?
Yes.
So we are working towards that. That is why we are doing a groundwork to let them register on the electoral register, because they are the sovereign people to deciding on who has to be where when time comes. But if they are absent.
Yes, and the last part of the program, I'm going to start with you, Christian.
Yeah.
You will say, I'm not letting you speak. Even if the CPDM were to win all, given that they have the majority, except for Adamawa, where the NUDP has a possibility of winning, 30%, that is 30 out of 100 senators are appointed by the head of state. And we have seen him appoint from NUDP, from UPC, and hopefully we think that the SDF is coming in now in power, and they will be open to accept if the president contacts them to appoint them. By appointing 30% and some of them from the opposition political parties, will that not be an opportunity for pluralism in the Senate?
Well, of course. I think normally, permit me to say that it would be a shame for the CPDM to win all the
shame, you work hard, it's
excuse me, please. It would be a shame for the CPDM if they were declared as winner of all the 70 seats. I'm sure they will not be comfortable with that kind of victory. That is why I have the feeling that some of the errors that we saw in Adamawa,
very comfortable.
They are planned so that I mean, we cannot be talking about democracy and then talk about a political party that gets 100% in an election.
He says it will be a shame to your party?
Well, that is his own idea. But I think no political party ever goes in for an election to lose. And every political party, if given the opportunity, will want to take 100%. Just that it may not be easy to get 100%. And I want to assure Christian and even the opposition members here that we have to try to convince the electorate. We have to know that these people who are going to vote, the municipal councillors and regional councillors, are intelligent people. They are not stupid people that you think that you can just pull them anyhow. They are there to defend their constituencies, and they will go in for the candidate who can be able to provide them what they can use as resources to defend their mandates. So it is still possible, if the opposition has an argument, to win over voters, even from the CPDM, because I've done that before. We gave the example of Northwest. Yeah. So they shouldn't get so discouraged and say it's a CPDM affair. If they don't have a political argument, they don't have any program to present, naturally nobody will vote for them. So the people who are voting first for the programs. They are not just voting, they don't align themselves behind a political party because they either been bought over or somebody is behind them with a whip to vote for the party. No, they vote for the programs of those parties, and the CPDM has a political program which is accepted by Cameroonians. Secondly, let me add the second point. These political parties, these are local, the parties that are located in some areas of this country. Most of the parties can go like the CPDM to canvass for votes for all through the country because they are not represented. Most of them are represented in big cities like Douala and Yaoundé. When they move a small crowd there, they think that they are popular. No, they have to go down to the base, right down to the interior part of the country to get the votes from there. That's where the votes come from. The CPDM is located in all the subdivisions in this country and is well structured and has the votes from all over.
We have digested that point. The question I asked Christian, he didn't answer. I'm going to ask all of you. By appointing 30%, that some of them come from the opposition parties, is that also room, an opportunity for there to be pluralism in the Senate?
It merely adds to the pluralism that is existing, because the Senate has always had opposition parties in the Senate. We've had the case of SDF has been there, 14 seats is good, reasonable enough. They are now having 7 seats. The president has appointed other political parties. So that Senate has been a pluralist Senate which is just going to be reinforced if the head of state, who is in that spirit of sharing and who believes that even when he takes everything, he still needs the contribution of the opposition, he can now stretch a hand to bring in the opposition so that they can equally be able to confront what we have internally in the CPDM.
Thank you, Dennis. The president appoints 30% and some of them from opposition political parties. That is a window to have pluralism in the Senate. Don't you think so?
Pluralism is not color. Because you have 100 senators, 99 CPDM, 1 SDF. It means there is pluralism. Pluralism is about ideas, not about numbers.
That's
what I'm saying. Pluralism is about impactful action in an institution where you see diversity of thought and you see the dynamism of that, the dialectics of that diversity leading to a certain level of debate that moves the country forward. If pluralism is just for window dressing, it's not pluralism. Secondly, the Social Democratic Front, since 1990 that it was launched, since 1992 that we won the presidential and we didn't take power, there have been a lot of maneuvers from the CPDM for us to join government. We have refused to get into any position of power through our political opponent's pen. Our slogan is power to the people, which means we count on the people to give us power. That's why we are in the institutions of the country only through, in those institutions that people are sent there by popular vote.
Yes.
So if we can refuse to run ministries through appointments, and then we sit and we are contented and praying that the same political opponent, the civilians should appoint us to get into institutions that we are supposed to go there through election.
Yes.
Then where is the power to the people we have been?
We give you credit to the position of your party.
So we need, and let me end.
We don't have much time.
I think she spoke a lot, but in a second about. I want to react to what my brother said from the UPC. In a second, we are building a dynamic. The CPDM will not kill the opposition. Our principal spirit now is building a dynamic to have a credible opposition that will come together, not to come together and form single candidate as has been the past, but to come together and put the necessary pressure, internal and international, on electoral reforms.
Thank you very much for your message that you have dropped into our program, but we concede because we invited you here. By appointing, I will finish with you. You have said the SDF cannot take appointments.
That's not what he said.
That's not what I've said.
By saying
that's not what I'm saying. I mean, he's sending a message across that I think I'm the only one who understands on
that's not what I'm saying.
What he says is that there is a serious internal problem within the SDF, and he thinks that for a party that used to be a formidable force.
No, don't interpret. Let him say it.
Can I repeat myself?
No, don't repeat. You will be too long. You were long.
I will repeat in summary form.
No, please. Answer this question. Is that an official position that
I have said that?
Can you listen to my question? How will you answer the question? How will you answer it? No, please.
Ask the question.
Are you saying after the polls, if the head of state decides to appoint someone from the SDF, you will refuse?
That's not what he said.
Can I repeat what I said?
No,
very briefly.
No.
Very briefly.
No.
What I said is that the Social Democratic Front, in accordance with the slogan of power to the people, we have refused ministerial positions, and we are in the institutions of the country.
That nobody can appoint.
We are in the institutions of the country because the people send us there. So if we start now counting on going into that same institutions that are that gain access to it is through election, through appointment, then there is something wrong.
Well, I get it. You know, when you speak here, we have people out there who monitor us, who scrutinize what we say. If I was asking that question, probably it's because many people understood it the way I understood, that nobody will sit anywhere and appoint.
Kilian, if you have been reading...
Your last word, please.
If you have been
30 seconds.
Yes.
Last word.
Let me make that point clear. If you have been reading...
No, not that point, yes.
Within the SDF, you will have understood where he was going to. In any case, I wish that the head of state in his,
magnanimity,
whatever. We should use this election to let the world know that Cameroon is a democratic country.
Thank you very much. Your last word, please.
Yeah, my last word is, with the 30% of the senators appointed, is constitutional.
Yes.
So if the head of state deems it necessary
Yes.
to appoint people from the other parties to come and assist him
Yes.
in the nation building, I do not see
anything wrong with it. Yes, Dennis, you would have said your last word, but I will give equal opportunities.
Yes.
30 seconds.
Yes, I want to call on all the Cameroonians that the destiny of this country is in their hands. They have to make sure that they participate in popular election, and they have to make sure that they adhere to the strong opposition for us to push for institutional reforms at the level of electoral code and the election management body, because that is where the whole problem is.
Yes, Dr. Fru Jonathan.
I want to say the CPDM is going into this election with ambition to take all the seats. And it's our wish that we have them, and we think we can have them because the CPDM is at work. The CPDM is at work all the time. The CPDM works all the time, and I want to borrow from my neighbor, Dennis, that it is a matter of hard work.
Thank you very much.
It's a matter of tact.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
You will get the results, and we are sure we're going to make it because.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are done. Our time is up. That was Dr. Fru Jonathan, chargé de mission of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party, the CPDM, and close to him, Mr. Nkemle Dennis, National Communication Secretary of the Social Democratic Front, SDF. And this way I have Mr. Nyamgo Lawrence, who is the third Vice President of the UPC, and Christian, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Guardian Post newspaper. If you miss out on this program from the beginning, please, you have a full broadcast on Monday at 2:30, so you can catch up. If you have your handset wherever you are, you can connect to us on www.CRTV web. You go to our Facebook and you're going to watch this program live. Thanks for your time.